Hello, welcome to another episode of Confessions of a Dog Trainer. So if you're watching this video, I have Milo here with me on place. He's our newest board and train, and the dog that inspired this podcast episode. One, because I really want to explain more about him for the owner, because he came to us where his owner was struggling with some major reactivity. He's a big time puller on leash, all the things. She was just really struggling. And what I'm seeing with him is quick progress, and there's some reasons behind it. So, one, also to emphasize, a dog's personality can have a big impact on this training and what it looks like. If you're new here, I am an e-collar trainer. My name is Bethany. Hello. I share a lot over on Instagram at Walking Dog Training, which, by the way, you can go and watch whenever you're listening to this. Watch Milo's highlight. I'm filling up his first one, and I'm sure I'll get to a second one because PS owners, if you are working with a trainer, I recommend telling your trainer how much you love watching the things that your trainer shares, like Milo's amazing owners. It's very exciting for me. It just makes me want to share that much more, and a whole podcast about it. So before we dive in, this is my little hello to my dad, who got me back into podcasting or inspired me. And I like to do this as a little hello to him. So I've got my cup of joe. I'll wait for you to get yours. Cold coffee, but anytime my hot coffee turns cold, I just imagine it's iced coffee. I don't know. Okay, so, oh, and I wanted to say, so I am an e-collar trainer. If you are new to e-collar training, and I'm talking a lot about it, because I do want to talk about it with Milo, is I have another episode. It's called our e-collar starter episode. So I answer a lot of FAQ, mainly talking about maybe some myths I'm pretty sure I talked about, because there's a lot of misconceptions out there about e-collar training. One of the big reasons why I like and enjoy sharing so much on the podcast, it feels a little bit more intimate than sharing snippets on my stories on Instagram. So if you are unsure about e-collar stuff and you hear me talking about it, that would be a great episode to listen to. Also, I want to note, just in case, because I get distracted very easily, and so usually I don't have dogs on place. And what I actually am doing is I have our front door blind open, so I might have to work through some reactivity with Milo. I'm really just trying to test him as much as possible. So if I have to say no to any barking or anything, or get up and put him back on place, I would rather not edit it out of the episode. That just takes extra time. So I'll bring you along with me. Okay, so personalities and e-collar training. I'm specifically talking about e-collar training because a lot of the dogs I work with are like behavior modification cases. So if I'm working with a dog who is anxious, reactive, pushy, all of those things, I'm trying to modify behaviors. So addressing the things I don't want the dog to do anymore, and then teaching them what I want them to do instead. So it's, what's the term is balanced dog training. So I don't really hear a lot of people say this anymore, but that's what I am. I'm a balanced dog trainer, so I can say no to things and yes to things. And I add a lot of different tools, not a lot, but a really important one, the e-collar, into my trainer toolkit. And then I help an owner learn and feel confident using it on their own with their dog. So one note, if you're watching the video, you'll see Milo look over at the door. With some dogs, you might want to say no to even like looking at the door, because it usually leads to an outburst. But for me, for the most part, with most dogs, I want to make it as real of a situation as possible. So I want him to learn that, okay, I'm looking, I see people or dogs or whatever passing by, or I'm pretty sure the mailman's going to come when I'm doing this, so I'm sure we'll hear some reactivity. But I want to simulate as real of a situation as possible. So I'm not going to constantly tell a dog, no, you can't look at stuff. It's just part of their world. So more than anything, I just want to help be clear about, no, I don't want you to bark and react and all of that. I want you to just hang out and chill. That's why place is so great, especially when I'm doing something like this. It's a great management tool. Okay, so, and also with his level on the e-collar, because if I use it, it's going to be quote unquote higher for him. So I'm going to start at 35, just if I need to say no to any barking. Or no, let's say 30. Because I really haven't been using that high of levels with him. He's responded really well to lower-ish levels. If you've followed me for any amount of time or listened to any of the episodes that I share on here, you know that I talk a lot about higher levels on the e-collar. One, because I want to reassure you that that's probably the missing link for you. If you continue to struggle with your dog with something like reactivity on the walk or pulling on the walk or whatever, and you're using the e-collar, it all comes down to the levels that you use. But Milo, okay, let me tell you a little bit about him real quick, because he is, for me, uh, a total dreamboat of a dog to work with. It's been so long. I love all the dogs I work with. So Valentina, the little Frenchie I worked with not long ago, her owners gave me a picture of me and her together. It's in a frame on a shelf. Like, I love all the dogs I work with, but I'm sure it's like people with kids. I don't know, but like a teacher, I'm sure a teacher has favorite kids, but loves them all. Like, but there's just different personalities that you like mesh with. And my favorite kind of dogs are Milo. He's basically Johnny in a doodle body. So I know he had a lot of reactivity stuff, but he's very mellow. He's a sweet dog. I have not heard him whine once, which uh, whining to me can be really challenging because I swear I absorb the anxious energy because I am slightly anxious myself. So when I'm working with an anxious dog, I have to really tap into like my calm practices, which just looks like, I don't know, disconnecting and watching Housewives, or taking some really deep breaths, or acknowledging that, okay, I'm feeling a little bit like I need a break. Let me just go sit and look at my garden or something. But with a dog like Milo, it feels like I have the dreamiest job in the whole world. And his owners are also amazing. The interesting thing, and I know his owner is going to be listening to this because I'm sending it to her, is Susan, his owner. I've never had an owner do this where she would message me before. I've had owners message me, but she would like respond to me working with another dog and be like, "Oh, I can't wait for you to see Milo. He is such a puller," and like just really telling me all the things about him, which I love. I'm an over communicator, and I have found that that is one of my biggest values as a dog trainer with Walking Dog and my board and train program. I love communicating. So when I get an owner who doesn't really communicate with me, I struggle a little bit because I like the feedback, good or bad. I like knowing all the things. Um, Maybe it's because I'm half Italian or grew up and we had family meetings anytime something went wrong. I don't know. Or I've been to a lot of therapy, whatever. But I really love, it just makes me love this job so much when the owner is very communicative. So I loved that she was so open and honest about her struggles, and told me that I was her last hope with Milo. Like, she was really struggling. So when I get him in, and I'm sure some of you will relate to this if you've ever sent your dog somewhere, and I just assume this is how it goes, because I've had some dogs like this where they get in and maybe I say no to barking in the kennel, or I don't know, like they feel the e-collar on a lower level and they're like, whoa, this is different. What's going on? And they're much more sensitive to it. So they start to like slow down a bit, or I would describe him as sensitive. So he's so much like my dog, Johnny, where Johnny, as soon as I started, because it was a lot of like, with Johnny, I would use the e-collar lower levels, like how I talk in the e-collar starter guide, which is our e-collar course/guide, just so you know. I do have that available if you want to get into e-collar training. I'll link that in the show notes. But then there comes a point where you say no to things when you understand that your dog totally gets it, like walking next to you in heel, or recalling to you. Once you want to say no to not coming to you, you make those commands non-negotiable, which is such a powerful flip in your relationship with your dog. A lot of people are missing that piece, where if you're using a lot of food, or like his owners were using a harness and trying their best to get him to walk better, there's only so much you can do. You hit a wall and it's like, why isn't this working? Because you don't have the right tools for the dog in front of you. And it's just not something that a lot of people hear or talk about. So that's why this podcast exists. So with Milo, he almost immediately was like, oh, and I wasn't using higher levels. It was more, I think I found his working level, which is about a 5-6. And then he barked in the kennel and I tapped at level 15. And he was like, he didn't vocalize or it wasn't anything like that. It was more like, oh, okay, can't do that. Or just like overly aware of the sensation of the e-collar, that kind of a thing. And so now, ever since then, he is highly second guessing barking. So he's also one of those dogs where I can totally see him being very excitable. And I have no doubt, like his owner, like I think joked, it was joking, like that she told her husband, like, what if Bethany thinks I'm exaggerating about the reactivity because she's not seeing all of it? And I was like, no. I totally see snippets of the reactivity. It might not be as explosive as it was because my relationship with Milo started with, yes, I got some before footage of him like pulling me really hard. He is a really, if he's allowed, a big time puller, where on the harness, I could hear him breathing heavy because he's pulling so hard. And so I could totally picture it. But my relationship with him has kind of started from with structure. So introducing the e-collar, which is kind of like an invisible leash. So adding that in the backyard where I use tone plus stim, even like using tone with him, the sound, he was like very like, what is this? What is this sound? But then also, I don't know how to describe it other than like, it slowed him down a bit where he was more like, oh, like, what's this? Okay, let me do what you're asking. He's a pleaser when he's a little bit slower. Not so much, I'm sure, when he's like barking and going crazy. But there's been a lot of structure. He also is not kenneled at home. They just weren't using it because most of the time he's great in their home. That's the picture that I got, or the vision, like what they were telling me, except when someone rings the doorbell, when someone delivers a package, when guests come over. So that's where I do think giving him calm time in the kennel has been really helpful, just because he can't hear a whole lot when he's in the kennel room. That's why I'm starting to introduce more distractions with him in our home, like having the blind open so he can maybe see the mailman come by, but teaching him place. So he's one of those dogs where it sounded like he would just kind of relax on his own. He's about 3.5 years old, so a little bit older. But my relationship started with structure. So I didn't go for a walk with him for a whole week with a harness with him pulling and try to get him to walk nicer. I switched out my tools with him right away, day one. I was actually really excited to start the walk with him. I switched from the harness to a prong collar. He also was pretty sensitive to that, where again, it's just, and I don't see this with a lot of dogs. So I wanted to share this because have I mentioned this? He's like a unicorn to me as a dog trainer, where I don't have all the anxious stuff to work through. He's a little nervy about stuff, but I've seen dogs that are more nervous. He's just responding really well, really quickly to things, where some dogs I work with, they will give pushback after pushback after pushback, and just they're pushy during like the whole first week, where it's kind of like, can you just like get it? Like it feels like push and pull. And again, this is like personalities. It plays a big part into this training. So I totally can imagine how his owner struggled with him, because when I think a dog that's kind of lacking clarity with some, that's just why place is so great, kennel time is so great. The lines can kind of get blurred on what he should be doing, what he shouldn't be doing. But he is a really sweet, sweet dog. And the owners told me that, they love him very much. But once I think I took away the option of pulling on the leash and switched him to a prong collar, and then started to add like tone on the walk, where it's another thing that's like, oh, what's this? It's just, he's sensitive to things. So but he also has the part of him that's like looking to please. So it's like, okay, we've introduced this new tool, even just the sound on the e-collar plus like prong collar. And he's like, oh, what do you want me to do? Okay, walk next. Okay, cool. Like you can see him trying to please you once those naughty options are taken away. So if you're starting with your dog and you're like, where do I even start? How do I like go from pulling to not pulling. Switching out your tools is one. Harnesses they make it so easy for a dog to pull, and you can try to do all the things in the world, but still, when a dog has the leash attached to either his chest or his back, those are two of the strongest parts of a dog's body. So it's so easy to pull. When you switch to something that goes around the neck, like a prong collar, which looks really scary, but really it's just they feel it if they pull against it, so it deters the pulling. That is a more sensitive part of the dog's body, so it's harder to pull against, even though this is why he's a little bit of a unicorn. A lot of dogs I work with don't care about the prong collar, and that's why I go straight to prong collar plus e-collar. There are trainers out there who will just do prong collar at first. There's no right or wrong way. It's really what works best. I have found that the e-collar is my tool of choice. I can be super gentle with it. I love the pairing of tone plus the stim. So stim is short for stimulation because the e-collar is a muscle stimulator. It's the same sensation. So stim is just a short way to say it. The combo I find is so powerful. And I can get a dog to, and this is not like, oh, look at me, I can get a dog to do this. It's really just the power of the sound plus the stim plus like body movement. I can get a dog to recall to me in my backyard within a couple of days. So pretty quickly. And so then I can use the tone, which I've been using, like, let's just say with Milo, in the backyard to recall to me and like go into his kennel. That sound now means, okay, come closer to me. Then when I use it on the walk, it's a little bit easier. It's like, oh, I've heard this before. I'm supposed to come to you. So with him, he's just one of those dogs that's like, I got it. I'm picking up on it. And he's sweet. He's not pushy. He wants to please. So it's really just, I think, taking away the options of pulling, no more barking, saying no to it in the kennel. I don't know if I already mentioned that, but I did say no to the barking in the kennel. Again, at a lower-ish level, where some dogs I work with, I need a level 65 or higher to say no to the barking and actually have them be like, oh, yeah, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. It can feel more like like it can feel much more messy. That's, I think, the word. And with him, it just felt like, oh, okay, I don't have to. He still like will bark every now and then, but it's not like a continue barking. It's like one bark and then no more. So that I don't really mind so much. So that is a big part about why I think this process with him looks so different. Also, he went into the kennel. His owners weren't kenneling him, and I'm just sharing this as like to give a full picture. And also, I don't know if another trainer is listening and you're like, how do other trainers? Okay, if you're curious about the process for other trainers before they get owners in, I know I was when I was a newer trainer. I hope that this is helpful. So I always like to know ahead of time, how does a dog do in the kennel? His owner said that they did use a kennel when he was younger, and they weren't using one anymore. Sometimes I just like throw the dice and I'm like, okay, I'm going to get a dog in and fingers crossed there's no like extreme separation anxiety. Now that is probably not the smartest move. Most of the time I do have owners get a kennel, have their dog get into the kennel and kind of use it daily to see how their dog does. I'll just say to start having your dog eat their meals in their kennel and see how your dog does. Are they barking like crazy? Are they trying to break out? Are they biting the kennel door? Like those are extreme anxious things where sometimes it's just a little whiny, or a dog sits and they're just like a little whiny. And that's just restlessness. That's not really a big deal to me. That's more like, well, I can work through that. It's more, I want to make sure a dog doesn't have severe separation anxiety, because that is a whole other thing. So with him, again, unicorn, and other trainers will get this, where when you get a dog in like Milo, it is like you won the lotto. And I'm also in my like gardening era, and I'm growing tomatoes, and I just picked some fresh rosemary to like sniff in the backyard. Like, who am I? I don't know. I, I don't know, but it's delightful and calming. And I'm just really trying to manifest my slower life where I am still a dog trainer and being productive and, all of the things, but also really having a calmness about me, which I am a calm person, but the garden life has just changed me. I am now becoming a semi-outdoorsy person, where I think maybe someone else will relate. I would choose going outside to look at the garden rather than sitting on the couch watching TV, and that is not my norm. Okay. I am a rewatch Housewives lady. I love watching TV. It is my comfort. It also inspires me a lot. So I like watching TV. That's just who I am. Some people love books. I love TV. But now I really look forward to going outside and seeing what's growing or picking some rosemary and sniffing it. And I don't know, watching the bees go by the flowers. It's crazy, but delightful. So when I get a dog like him, it's just, I feel like, one, I really am enjoying the owners. Many of you will realize that, or if you don't know this, you should. The owner piece of this training puzzle is everything. Everything comes back to the owners. I am a board and train trainer, and the dog comes and stays with me for 2 weeks, but that's really just a head start. It does help me work through a lot of problem stuff, but really give an owner a major head start so that then I can best coach them because I know their dog better now. So that is what I have found. And so when you enjoy the owners, which I always do, the last few years I've been getting such great owners. I think that comes down to maybe the process before I work with an owner, asking the right questions in the contact form. If you're a trainer and you're curious what that looks like, you can go look at my website, walkingdogtraining.com, go to the Work With Me tab, board and train, scroll down to the bottom. You can look at all my questions. You can copy them for your own. I really don't care. I'm sure I copied a bunch of them from someone else. But I do find that it's helpful so I can figure out if an owner is the right fit. Over time, you start to learn if there's a red flag or if something is like, ooh, I don't really know. And actually, I talked with Milo's owner on the phone because there was something I think she said in the contact form where I was like, I don't know if that's going to be a good fit. And I don't even know what it was. But your spidey senses, your trainer senses start to like really pick up on things after you've had some situations with people. So, and I got on the phone with her and it was great and I really enjoyed it and I was excited to work with her and help her with Milo. But when I get a dog like Milo who goes into the kennel and I don't hear a peep from him, that's not the usual. I mean, most of the dogs I work with are slightly, if not really anxious in the kennel and I have to work through barking, whining. I have to watch the camera. It's a lot. So with him, it's like, the process looks different. It looks a little more enjoyable. I'm not going to lie. I'm really enjoying taking him places. It's like exposure. My big goals with him are exposure plus a job to help him feel more confident because he's a little bit nervy about stuff. Keeping the owner's goals in mind. Like she wants to take him off leash to a beach nearby where they live. I love that. So off leash stuff is going to be a big goal. But I am also really enjoying him. He's just a really sweet dog. And again, I love all the dogs I work with. They all have different quirks and I share a lot about them on this podcast. So I'm sure those of you who listen, you get it. But I've worked with other dogs, like if you listened or if not, if you're curious, my Jax episode, he was one of the most anxious dogs I've ever worked with. And also it was one of the most fulfilling experiences. Just watching him, it's such a cheesy saying, but transform over the course of 2 weeks. It's sometimes it even surprises me, like, whoa, like that happened in 2 weeks. It's just really cool. So, but Milo is a little bit different. So I just wanted to share that because one, I wanted the owner to understand why this probably looks a little different with him and why I'm not seeing all, okay, a dog's passing by. So let's see why I'm not seeing all of the reactivity that they were seeing. Okay, so he just saw them walk by, but nothing. Good. But I just wanted to add a little bit more context about that. So please remember, your dog's personality can have a big impact on how this process looks. And that's why comparing to other people online, we all do it. I do it about all kinds of different things. But for dog owners and dog trainers specifically, it always depends on the dog's personality and also experience. So something I think is really important to remind yourself of is I'm a trainer who, this is my 7th year of being a board and train trainer. I've learned a lot over the past 7 years. I've had a lot of messy moments. I've had a lot of learning experiences that didn't feel great at the time. It had me really second guessing myself and if I should be a trainer. major imposter syndrome, where now I'm kind of like really enjoying the process with dogs and their owners, and feel like I finally feel confident doing things that feel right for me. And that took time though. It's like you only have, like, for an owner, especially if you're struggling, or like for Milo's owners, you only know what you know. That's such a dumb saying because it's so straightforward, but it's like you don't know what to do if you don't know that there's different options. And for me, so when I get a dog like Milo in, I know go straight to prong collar and e-collar. Introduce the e-collar in the backyard. Okay, put him in the kennel to see how he does. Correct for any barking, and I can do that on day one, which can make a huge impact on de-escalating a dog who's really riled up and just getting them to be like, oh, okay, take them down a few levels. I know these things now where an owner, it's just you and your dog. So please go easy on yourself. Give yourself a little bit of grace, because it makes sense that you wouldn't know all of these things, and your progress will look different than mine with a dog. But again, I wanted to share about our unicorn Milo over here, because even though I'm seeing some pushy stuff, like today, I took him in the car for the first time to go walk outside of a dog park, and that was kind of the most pushy I've seen him, where he kept wanting to sit up. And I know he knows down, because when I ask him to lay down and like put my finger down, he lays down. Most dogs don't do that. Most dogs protest way more about the down command. It's usually the toughest to teach. So kudos to his owners for, I don't know, teaching that, whoever taught him, but he knows it. So pat yourself on the back. So I know he knows it. So now I can start pairing a double tap on the e-collar at a lowerish level. I'm not necessarily correcting him for not laying down. It's more reinforcing down as much as possible in the car. Because what I'm seeing with him, and what I always think when I'm working with a reactive dog, and a question to ask yourself, always come back to this question. So if your dog, let's say, is reactive in the car, you are driving, you stop at a stoplight, someone walks past and your dog starts barking. Ask yourself, what is a job I could give my dog right before that moment happens to better set them up for the next time? And for me in the car, for a situation like that, it's down command. Another example is my dog barks when someone knocks on the door. What is a job I could give my dog before that happens, or after? So in a situation like that, if you watched my stories, so I added a story today of me doing something with Milo that I'm super excited about. I haven't done before, and it's actually really fun. Is conditioning him that when he hears the doorbell ring, he goes to place. So today was day one. So how I like to do this, well, not that I've done this before, but how I usually do like a guest protocol setup, or like if a dog is known to jump on people or bark at the door or whatever, I like to have it as realistic as possible where the dog is off of place. So that's more realistic. So an owner is probably going to have their dog off of place sometimes, even when they get back from training. I'm not someone that says your dog needs to be on place 1000% of the time. That's just not realistic. It's more place than not. But let's say your dog is off of place, barks at the door. So what is something that we can do that would help clarify or be clear that next time this happens, I don't want you to do this. This is what I want you to do instead. So down in the car is a good example. In the house, it would be recall. So tone, tapping on tone, come. Well, okay, back up. First, it would be having the e-collar to say no to any barking, because that makes it so much easier to be clear about what you want to do. Think of it like barking makes it like you're in a really loud room and it's hard for your dog to hear you. So if you use a tool like the e-collar where they feel it instead of having to yell or chase or whatever, no, you don't even have to say no because your dog probably can't hear you. But if you want, just out of habit, that's what I would do. No, tap at a level that means something. How to find that is sometimes you have to try different levels. How do you know if the level means something? Your dog will, the behavior you don't want your dog to do anymore that you're correcting for will decrease. So no, and then recall, tap on tone, come, over to place, down. Then go over, knock on the door, have someone, open the door, or whatever you need to do to try it again. And then you can correct for getting off of place. But if you always lean on, I think of them as management tools. They are such helpful management tools for owners. That's not a super cute saying. So you can also think of it like giving your dog a job. Most dogs get into trouble when they don't have a lot of clarity on what they should be doing. And it's hard because if you don't have the e-collar to be clear or say no to barking, it's very hard to manage your dog. it's very hard to teach them something new when they're barking and you're like, no, come here, I want you to sit with me or whatever. It's tough. So if you're not using the e-collar, that's probably why you're hitting a wall. Not that everyone needs to use the e-collar, but maybe for you could be putting a leash on. That's a great tool. Give your dog some guidance with some leash. But anyway, so always fall back on what is a job I could give my dog right now. So let's say if his owners, let's say they're driving back home and he's sitting in the car because he's being really good and he's sitting and looking out the window and they're like, oh, this is okay. Bethany told us that he should be down in the car, but let's just see. He's being okay. And then someone walks past the door and he starts barking. It's just feedback. It's just, okay, this moment, he did this. He could probably use a job in the car like down. Down is nice because sit is more active. It's more one they can see out the window. Down, they can see out the window, but also the down command for me is more like down means down. It doesn't mean lay down sometimes, get up sometimes, do it when you'd like. It's a non-negotiable command. So enforcing that in the car consistently is just really helpful. So that's I don't even know what I was saying about that, but I hope that that makes sense. Okay. Oh yeah, so I was seeing him being pushy in the car. That's what I was talking about. And I've seen dogs there. To me, car stuff, I will take a dog all day long, like Milo, who's just wanting to sit. I've worked with a lot of dogs who are super whiny, who are shaking in the car, who are panting, who car rides are just a scary place to be. And then when you start to layer in giving them a job like down, which I find even for dogs that are really anxious and panting and shaking, and it's just really a nervy thing, the down command is so helpful. A great example of that is a dog, Basil, I worked with. They come back for boarding every now and then, and he is one of the most freaked out dogs I've ever seen in the car. And I started to ask him for down, started to hold him accountable for down, which means if he popped up from a down, I would say no on the e-collar, ask him to lay down again. No on the e-collar with one out of 100 levels. It just depended on the moment. I don't even really remember. But down in the car is so helpful for so many reasons. So with him, the car ride today was, let's make this the new norm. It's kind of like down on place. They're both very similar. This is something also when I get an owner who comes back for either a midway or go home session. And I know this stuff can seem overwhelming. I mean, I have resources to send home with owners, which is really nice, which by the way, trainers, I have a go home guide template. So if you don't have a go home guide and you'd really like one, it's so nice to be able to answer questions. And I found that a lot of owners just want a resource to refer back to. A lot of owners feel bad reaching out for a question. I don't think Milo's owner, Susan, will, which I say very lovingly. I actually love when owners reach out to me. So please, 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 any owners I've worked with, reach out to me. I love it so much. It's one of my favorite parts about this job is supporting you after the board and train. But other trainers, I do have that template. If you want to get a major head start on your go home guide template. So I have a go home guide. I send the reactive dog handbook and sometimes my e-collar starter guide home with an owner as their homework. But I think sometimes it can still feel overwhelming. Like we have to do all these things. It just feels so different. It's like a major reset. And I always like to remind owners that it's the same things, really just put in different situations. So like down on place, same thing as down in the car. So same rules for two different commands. Walking next to you on the walk, that's heel command is what I like to say. You can also do that with when your dog is off leash, or I send owners home with a long line leash so they can practice their off leash skills using the e-collar, because the e-collar is the biggest thing that they have to get used to. So they can start to feel confident with the safety net of a long line leash. So you can practice having your dog walk next to you with a long line leash. Same expectations, two different commands or two different scenarios. Down command when you go out somewhere with your dog to a cafe or somewhere and you just want your dog to hang out and chill. Down command. So down command on place, down command when you're out and about, down command in the car, same things. It's just different situations. So it's kind of like, I like to think of it as like plug and play. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like any of these different commands you can plug into any kind of situation. So you can always come back to what's a good job to give my dog in this moment. And it's always going to be a good thing. So if you're ever wondering, what should I do with my dog? My dog right now, what's a good training thing? Give them a job. So if like, let's say Milo, they get back home and he's walking around, um, and maybe the owners are like, oh, I feel like we should be doing something like trainery or I don't know, like what did Bethany say to do? Always come back to what's a job that I could give him right now. Place in the home is really great, or the down command, or I love place just because the more you reinforce it, the stronger your dog's ability to relax and do nothing with things going around them, even like you moving around to the kitchen or eating or really anything. It just strengthens your dog's ability to do that on command. That's really the most important piece because like he's a dog who sounds like he would just like lay around, sleep most of the day, but that's when he wants to. It's totally different when someone knocks at the door and you tell him place and you've practiced it and he's like, oh yeah, I've done this. This is what we do. And he goes over to place on command. That's the beauty of this training. Okay, so I think that that's good for this episode. I hope that was helpful. I hope it just reassures you that if your process is looking different compared to your friends or someone you follow online, it's probably because your dog's personality is different, and that affects the training process. If you have any questions, please reach out to me on Instagram at Walking Dog Training. Let me know you listened to the podcast, to this episode, so I know that you've listened to the things. And I'll try my best to help you if you have any questions, or just let me know that you enjoy this episode. That's such nice, well, of course it's nice to hear, but as someone who it's just me talking to my laptop and I always want to share stuff that is what you need, I knowing that it resonated with you is just like makes my heart so happy. You can also leave a review for this podcast if you feel compelled. That would mean a lot as well. But we do have some owner resources and trainer resources. I'll link those in the show notes, and I hope they help you. All right, till next time.